This is the story of Hank, a rescue dog. This is a dog named Hank. Hank was rescued from a shelter in South Carolina. When Hank was rescued, his new mommy was told he was 5 years old and in great health. She saw him and knew she just had to bring him home. Once his mommy brought him home, she looked him over. He had many bald patches on his body where he did not have hair. He also scratched continuously because his skin itched so badly and his eyes were always watering. He was even afraid to walk through the doorway to come home. His new mommy gave him a nice warm bath to help clean his coat and his skin. The bath also helped with the itching. He met his new sister Ellie, who is a wiener dog. She wanted to play, but Hank was very tired. He ate a big bowl of food and then laid down with his new mommy and sister in his new soft bed to take a long nap. You see, Hank had been kept in a cage outside for all of his life. He was rained on and heard thunder and saw lightning since he was kept outside. These things scared him, and the other dogs at the shelter made him feel very nervous. The other dogs liked to bark, but Hank was so afraid he just shivered and stayed quiet. He was very sad and wondered when someone might come and want to take him home. His new mommy took him to the vet and found out that Hank was actually about 10 years old and not 5 like the people at the shelter had told her. The vet also said that Hank had some arthritis and bulging discs in his back. This meant his body was hurting and it needed extra attention so he could heal. He also had an allergy to the food that the shelter had been feeding him, and that is why he was so itchy. Hank's mommy got him some medicine to help his pain feel better so his body could start to heal. He also got some new food that was so yummy. The new food didn't bother his allergies like the kind he was fed at the shelter. Unfortunately, shelters can only give the kind of food that they can afford, and the food that they were feeding Hank and all of the other animals was not the best kind of food for those dogs. Animals began healing when they are rescued. Hank began to heal and his allergies eventually went away. He became a very happy dog. He finally felt like he had a home and a mommy and sister that loved him very much. He always had warm blankets to snuggle in and a soft bed to lay on for all of his naps. Hank also loved to get treats. His favorite was the bacon-flavored treats. When he was in the shelter, he never got any treats because the shelter could not afford to buy anything. Hank was finding all kinds of new things that he loved. Hank enjoyed taking naps and lying with his mommy. He felt safe when she was around because in the shelter he was always afraid and there was never anyone to sit with him and pet him or show him love. Did I mention that Hank loves naps? Since Hank was an older dog, he needed a lot of sleep. When he was in the shelter, he could not sleep very much because the other dogs barked and made him afraid. He really loved his soft bed that he could relax in anytime he wanted in his new home. Hank also got to go visit his aunts and his cousins. He had a cousin that was a Dalmatian and a cousin that's a dingo. He loved to visit with those dogs and play with them. He didn't get to play with the dogs at the shelter since he was kept in a cage all the time. Hank also loved to lay outside in the sun. The warm sun felt so good on his back for a few minutes. This was not something Hank was used to since he had been kept in a cage, and if the sun was out, it would make him very hot because he could not move to find shade. He was learning how to enjoy being outside and being free. Hank was always so thankful to his mommy for rescuing him. He found a home and a family that loved him, and he was no longer in the shelter where he didn't feel safe and scared. Hank was just one of thousands of dogs that are held in shelters. If you can open your home and open your heart, go to a shelter and adopt a dog. They will thank you forever for saving them.